Hey, this is Matt. Just wanted to give you a quick heads up before we start the show. This week's episode contains some bad words. I'm not going to try to justify it, but I will say that they were only used to describe certain actions by certain footballers who maybe still play for the club at the time we recorded, but who didn't make the trip over to Austria with the rest of the team because they were busy at home doing things on social media that you may or may not find to be conducive to them becoming better footballers and possibly either going to a different team and getting us some money or actually working their way back into the Southampton team. Maybe we describe them in a way that is a little strong for young children and those who don't appreciate foul language to hear. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, that's it. Enjoy the show.
You're listening to the Southampton Delivery Podcast, a podcast dedicated to the Southampton Football Club and all of the SFC fans.
If you want to have guarantees, you have to buy a washing machine.
Fonte with a scooping header.
We don't lose a match, either we win or we learn. And today we learned.
Отдача, Остин! Все-таки забил!
It's infield to Mane, 25 yards out. Lovely ball for Bella. Onside, 1-0. Buffon shot! Oh my word!
Unbelievable. We ran around the pitch like Bambi on ice. Really very, very embarrassing to watch.
And now, your host, Matt Markstone.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Southampton Delivery Podcast, a podcast and newsletter dedicated to the Southampton Football Club and all of the SFC fans, and available right here on SouthamptonDelivery.com. My name is Matt Markson. I am the host of the show, and no matter where you are, no matter how you may be listening, whether this is your first time or you've been here before, thanks for making the show part of your day. I hope that you enjoy it. And finally, preseason has come. The first game has gone. We can all be upset at the formation and complain about the substitutes and ask why certain guys were playing. And yet almost nobody did that. There were a few angry voices on Twitter, but for the most part, I think that was reserved for the early parts of the cricket match. And I think most of us just enjoyed seeing the guys back out there, knowing that they are out there trying to get fit and all that. And we'll get to talk about it with Aydin Osman. You can find him on Twitter at Aydin_Osman96 on this week's episode. And I've had a bit of a weird day. My head is not with it. We recorded very, very late after some things that happened in my personal life. Yesterday was a very good day. Sunday, I should say, was a very good day. Went down with my very best Arsenal friend, Josh, to watch a live podcast, to see Arsenal and the guys from the Arsenal Vision podcast, do a live show and just kind of hang out and see what was going on. And we got back late last night, got up to do the podcast this morning, got a call from my dad. I needed to go to the hospital with him, so I spent most of the day at the hospital. Aydin was kind enough to hang out and wait for me to get back. We recorded quite late, but my head is kind of everywhere. So you'll hear me jump around and lose track of things and not make sense, and I apologize. But if this is your first time listening to the show, welcome. Come back next week and hopefully we'll do a little bit better. Aydin was great. I maybe was not, but it is what it is. So I hope that you enjoy the show no matter what. And I hope that you two are excited by Che Adams scoring a goal, by Southampton looking quite good. And I am looking forward to taking my son to the game on Wednesday, the Arsenal match, I have to say. So not my team, but his team, and we'll make the best of it as we go. But anyway, let's get to my conversation with Aydin Osman. Thank you for joining the show. We'll talk to you soon. I'd like to welcome back to the Southampton Delivery Podcast, Aydin Osman. You can find him on Twitter at Aydin_Osman96. Aydin, welcome back to the show, and thank you for putting up with my kind of emergency scheduling antics today. We were recording at 10:15 Monday night, your time, which means that the show will be out soon. So we're basically going to record this, turn it around, and it'll be up within the next couple of hours as people wake up and they can hear it. But welcome back, and thanks for doing this.
Yeah, no worries. It's good. It means that we haven't missed anything today. So, not like there was much to miss anyway. But yeah, it's going to be nice and fresh when it comes out.
Yeah. So we definitely didn't miss Charlie Austin's most recent social media post. So thank you, Charlie, for that. I I am worried about, though, is my recorder runs on batteries, and I ordered some batteries, and Amazon delivered the batteries, or the post office delivered the batteries, and somebody actually took the batteries out of the package and put the package in my mailbox and walked off with all the batteries.
Wow.
Which is like, it's just a joke. Like, how does the mailman because my mailbox locks, so I know that nobody got into the mailbox and took the batteries out. Like, that happened before he ever did it. So, like, how do you put in, like, there's just an open, empty envelope you just put in the mailbox. I don't get it. I don't know how that happens.
It must be the bloke that either delivered it or it's the people that packaged it.
I don't know, man.
I'd try and raise a complaint with whoever.
I've contacted Amazon. I have done my due diligence as my name is basically Deborah, and I wanted to speak to the manager, and I did. And now I have batteries coming, but they're not here yet, so that's okay. You'd be surprised.
I love that speak. Can I speak to a manager? Yeah, you're speaking for, and I'm here.
Yes, I have a lot. I go through a lot of batteries. It's I don't know. It's kind of embarrassing how many batteries this recorder will eat up if I allow it to. But it's, it is what it is. It's part of the deal.
Maybe it's worth getting rechargeable batteries for it.
I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know if I want. I don't know what's better for the environment or not. I should. I probably should. But maybe I'll look into that. Maybe if it's a Prime Deal day, because that's got to be something like that. But anyway, I don't know. I've had an interesting couple of days. And yesterday, Sunday, I was down in LA to watch a live podcast with an Arsenal podcast that I enjoy. My best friend is an Arsenal fan, so we listen to the show together and talk about it. But the guy who was there was fun, and I was really like kind of wanting to see like how they do the live show and how many people show up. And so you're talking all of LA. So I mean, it's a gigantic city. They put out this huge call. There were all these Arsenal supporter groups that put out this call, and really, I think by the end of it, it was 100 or 200 people showed up, like which is a good amount. Like, but when you consider how big LA is, it wasn't that many, and it suddenly made me feel a lot better about when we did a live show, not in Southampton, after a game where we got torched 3-0, and we still had people show up. Bar was full. I feel like we're doing all right.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be able to have a chance to do another live one if you come to a game this season coming. But to be fair, 100 to 200 people out in LA where football is not the main sport in the country is actually really good. Yeah,
it was I don't know, it was a lot of fun. And we got pretty good. We were standing there watching them do the show, and I don't know if you've seen the news today from Arsenal, but a bunch of supporter groups have gotten together and kind of petitioned Stan Kroenke to do something different with their club. And it's they hinted at it yesterday a little bit, but didn't go into great detail. And they had I don't know, it's nice to see somebody else suffering through some stuff that we've been complaining about as well. So it made me overall feel better. And to be honest, all the Arsenal fans were pretty nice. And so I'm sure Wednesday when we go back down and watch the team, they will all be nice again. And hopefully, I don't know what I'm hoping for. I was telling my friend yesterday, I've seen a couple of Premier League teams play over here during the preseason, during this International Champions Cup. I've seen the two teams that I've seen win, the two Premier League teams that I've seen win games have gone on to win the league that year. So if Arsenal beats Bayern Munich, we have to put money on Arsenal to win the league, which I don't think will happen. But it's happened every time.
Well, I might put a $5 on Saints to them and you get 1,000 to 1 and settle in $5,000 when we're after Livers.
Yeah, well, that's going to happen. Who's not going to be the real question is who will be on the team when that happens. That'll be the real question.
Yeah, definitely.
But speaking of that, let's talk a little bit about that. Sam Gallagher obviously not going to be in the team. We have a couple of things to talk about, I guess. We have Gallagher, we have the friendly match, and we have some other things that were going on with two people who did not make the trip to Austria. So some of them didn't make the trip. You would say Carrillo, who's just been kind of quiet, not a lot going on. But then you have guys like Lamina and Charlie Austin who have done things to put themselves in the spotlight. But we'll get to that. So First off, let's just talk a little bit about Sam Gallagher. I mean, he makes the move permanent to Blackburn. Does that surprise you at all? £5 million reported. Does that seem fair to all parties involved?
Yeah, I think it's a good deal for Blackburn. He's a good striker for a championship level, but I've always had this inkling about him that he's never been quite Premier League quality. I think people have been sort of living off that goal that he scored against Norwich, which was 4 or 5 years ago now. But he's never really kicked on since then, and that shows because obviously he didn't get really picked under Koeman. He got loaned out, and then Puel comes in, gets loaned out again. Pellegrino comes in, gets loaned out again. Hughes comes in, gets loaned out for half the season. Ralph comes in and he makes like a couple of appearances. He's not really done anything to kick on at the club or warrant staying, especially when we've just gone and spent 15 million on a striker from the same division that he's going to.
Sure. Well, yeah, and when you think back to last season when he made those appearances, I think Ings was out injured, and so your choice, Obafemi was out injured, so your choices is really Austin, Long, or play Redmond, or and most often those options were taken over getting Gallagher in the game. So it kind of looked like he was one of those guys that wasn't gonna really kick on. I remember there was a picture, I think the first couple of days back for preseason, where he was out running with like Jordy Classy and some of the other guys that didn't seem to be guys that were going to be in the fold. Kind of, they were kind of that's just the image I got in my head, and whether that's right or wrong, I'm not sure. But not surprised necessarily that he's gone, and I think he will be fine in the championship. And it's nice that he's not on loan anymore, that he's gone, and we won't have to not worry about him or deal with him, but that he can go on and just focus on his own career, and we don't have to worry about that,
Yeah, it's great for both parties because it's permanent. Obviously, now we don't pay his wages anymore, and we've got a fee in for him. So I imagine that money will go back into the transfer kitty, and the money that we'll save on wages will go in there as well.
Yeah, you start to wonder kind of I'm not sure what his wages were like or anything, but the wages add up. Sometimes I forget how much, $20,000 a week adds up to over the course of a season, and what these guys are making in terms of wages like that. And as long as nobody's on, Mesut Ozil wages, I think we'll be okay. So I don't know. I mean, anything else at the club this week other than we'll get to Charlie Austin and Mario Lemina, but anything else news wise jump out to you? That other than maybe the friendly. I mean, what did you make of some of the training that you saw? If you got to see any of the training that was going on in Austria, did you look like the guys are getting more fit to you? I mean, I saw some of the stuff for the goalkeepers. I thought was pretty good. I thought they all looked to be sharp and working well with the new coach. They all seemed to be receptive of what he was doing. I was a little surprised though at maybe the choices for the game yesterday, for the match on Sunday. Given that it was Alex McCarthy and then Fraser Forster who played, and not Angus Gunn at all. But I don't know. Anything else over the week of training jump out to you?
Well, to be fair, I think what you said, it was nice to see how the new goalkeeping came in and how the keepers adapted to him. It's going to be tough because obviously we've got 3 goalkeepers that have been, well, 2 of them have been called up to the England first team and made appearances, and we've got one that could realistically be the under-21's first choice. We've got a new keeper coach in there, so hopefully out of them we'll find one that will, for God's sake, just have a good season and not make any mistakes and be one less position we have to worry about.
Yeah, I want that to happen. I'm sorry, I got a little bit distracted there. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was gonna try to play it off, but there's no way around it. I was gonna ask you yesterday.
Go on.
Did you watch cricket?
The cricket. So I was working all day yesterday, so I missed it. So that was a bit of a shame, but I heard. I
was sitting, looking at my timeline, and I tweeted like, my timeline is a mixture of like I couldn't watch the game. Let me start this over because I couldn't watch the game yesterday, and I am murdering this. This is bad, and we're just going to leave it in because it doesn't matter. So I couldn't watch the Saints game yesterday, because of the basically just the restrictions on it. I couldn't because I live in the States and it was in the UK. I couldn't watch it, so no big deal. So I have a bunch of tweets on my timeline about the Saints game that I understand because I watch football and I know the team and all this stuff. And so I'm seeing stuff about the game that people are tweeting, and it seems nice. My timeline is also full of a bunch of cricket things that I don't understand at all. I do not understand cricket, not the slightest. But everybody seems pretty upset. And then there's a bunch of the tweets about tennis that just seem relatively nice. Like everybody seems to be having a really good day. That's what my timeline was full of. I left my house to go down to LA to go to this podcast thing, and I was under the impression that England had lost cricket because it was all but over. And then I come to find out that this thing just popped up on my screen that they won. What the hell happened?
I honestly couldn't even tell you, but apparently it was a dramatic win for England. So I'm going to say we'll take that and move forward. And hopefully we can recreate something like that in the football in 2022.
Well, as long as America's there to take part in it, I'll let you do that. I would just like to watch my team, period. I don't understand cricket. I got to get this off my screen. I'm a disaster today, and I apologize.
It's fine.
Anyway, so we talked about Gallagher, talked about that, but the kind of the first real, I guess, preseason friendly, the first match was yesterday, and the reactions from fans seemed to be fine. But I wanted to ask you, like, if you go down that first, you look at the lineups that were used, because 2 different lineups were used, one for each half. Like, it didn't seem like an A team and a B team necessarily. It seemed like it was pretty well split between a mixture in both. I guess of both halves. And I'm not necessarily sure that that's what I would have done if I would have maybe said maybe I wanted to see some certain partnerships work. So and so maybe that's, to begin with, you have Oriol Romeu and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg playing in midfield together. Maybe that's what you want to see. But I don't know. Like, what did you make of the kind of the lineups that were rolled out by Ralph, and how did you view the performance of some of the guys?
I think honestly it's pre-season. It doesn't really matter too much who plays. I think especially at this stage of pre-season as well, it's mainly about fitness and the tactical stuff. Yeah, it does come in, but as a coach, it's more about getting your players up to match speed alongside the match ideas. So I think the main priority is just getting them fitness. And let's not forget, the club that we've played, I'm not going to pronounce their name because I'm pretty sure I will butcher it, but their season starts this weekend coming. So they're at a later stage than us. But going back to the original question on lineups, I think you're right in the sense that it wasn't split into an A team and a B team. It seemed a bit of a mix of players that potentially could play for either, because obviously in the second half we had Bednarek playing, Prowsey playing, Redmond playing, Ings playing, and they were pretty much guaranteed first team starters last season. And then, first half was Romeu and Højbjerg, guaranteed starters last season, really, weren't they? It's one of those where I think I wouldn't read too much into it just at this moment in time, because obviously it's only the first week of pre-season that we've got done. I think the more we go into pre-season, we'll see more tactically how Ralph wants to set up, and we might potentially see the partnerships that he likes to see come in a little bit more regularly or get a bit more time together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that'll be important to kind of see how those things develop. And I was going to make the joke, but I don't think I need to. It's like, I don't think we should be angry about anything yesterday. Like, guys make mistakes. They score a goal. McCarthy made a couple of decent saves. Adams, I think did well for the goal. And I think Sims, at least in that clip of the goal, does well just to shove a guy off the ball and prevent him from playing it, which allowed it to run through to Adams, who then scored. And I think he could have taken that goal that he scored today and just thrown it into the highlight video that he had from last year of his goals in the championship, and that's it. It looks like one of those, and so we'll take it. That seems to be what Jay Adams does. So I was pretty happy with what he did, and I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how we get guys into this formation and what role certain people take up in the squad and things like that. So I think it'll be good. I don't know. I don't really have any complaints about yesterday. I think that there were some people who were a little bit upset, or at least pretending to be upset on Twitter. Can't tell if they're serious or not. I'm hoping that they weren't. But if you're really upset about the result yesterday, you should probably just gone and watch cricket instead, because I think you would have been happier overall. But they probably watched the cricket and then came over when England was down and to watch Saints, and then were even more upset because it was 1-1, and then they, God knows what else they did. So anyway, people should just relax. I think that's the main thing. And I think if you can tell,
I think you're right.
If people can't tell, I am not that relaxed. Today has been a disaster. So my head is kind of all over the place, but we're trying to stay with it today. It's going to be fine. We're going to get through this together, or not. Wesley Hoot, unused substitute. We'll leave it there.
No surprise.
Man. Cedric played, though.
I do, sure. Yeah, Cedric, do you know what? It's good to see him back. I think maybe, do you know what it is? I think he's been complacent. I think he got complacent under Hughes and Pellegrino. I think what it is, I think that loan spell from Ralph out at Inter gave him a kick up the arse. Because Koeman wasn't afraid to drop him. And he did play well under Koeman, but then when Puel came in, he was excellent. Like, I don't know whether it's tactically made to suit the deep block better. But I think after Koeman left, until Ralph came in, he didn't really have anyone that was going to drop him unless he was injured. So I think the fact that Ralph was like, see what, I don't like your attitude. You can go spend the rest of the season out in Milan. We're going to stick with this young kid here in Valerie. You come back and you realise, oh crap, maybe I need to get my head into gear. Then fair.
Yeah, I think part of it for him was going on that loan spell and then not getting in the team, really, like not being heavily utilized. Kind of showed him like, well, wait a minute, maybe I need to reevaluate kind of how important or how good I think I am or how undroppable I think I am, and I just need to get my head straight. And there was that clip of him on the Saints social media page with Højbjerg, and Højbjerg said he's back and he's ready to fight and he's playing for us, and I think that's what we need. I think if he does that, I think Cedric is perfectly capable of competing for that first team spot, but I think he has to do that. I don't think he's going to be given anything. And, at this point, maybe I kind of want Valerie to be the starter, and I'm willing to take, the lumps that come with that because he is still young. He's going to make mistakes, but Cedric has the ability to maybe keep him out of the team here and there. And so I think that's, if kind of going through the team and looking at where there's only one spot for two people, I think that's maybe the closest race that we have. I look at the center backs and I don't necessarily think that Wesley Hoot's going to have a chance to come back in and take one of those spots. I don't see that happening. I think Vestergaard is probably, a more solid defender than him. I think even Yoshida people would take. I think Bednarak is going to hold down that right spot. So it's just, we'll have to see kind of who does that there. But I think Cedric and Valerie could potentially be a pretty good, be in some intense competition for one another there, but we'll have to kind of see how that goes. I don't know. Any other kind of real notes from the game that you saw?
Well, Adams did look good actually. He hit the post as well, which I thought was really unlucky. He took his goal well. One thing I did notice, our centre backs can seem to get drawn out too easily. I think they're that used to playing in the back five, 3-5, however you want to call it. Maybe they just need to get back to playing that back four. Because I think if you notice for the goal, Yoshida gets dragged out.
Yes, I was going to ask you
and then there's a space in behind, which then allows him to go and hit the worldie that goes in the top corner. Whereas usually last season, if say Yoshida had come out, or say whoever was playing in the centre, if had come out, he would have had two guys behind him to make a back four. Whereas as Yoshida comes out there, he doesn't have that cover behind him anymore because, and we all know Vestergaard's like an absolute mountain, but he's not that big to fill 2 spaces up.
It's, yeah, I was going to ask you, because when I watched it back, granted, it's preseason, trying not to get too upset, but like there was a definite, I even backed it up to watch it again, because you could see Yoshida just gets caught. And as soon as the ball goes in, you can see Yoshida shaking his head because he knows he made a mistake. He did not do the right thing, but you kind of wonder where was the midfield cover that allowed that guy? Because if he doesn't step to him there, then we're probably in trouble anyway. But that's got to be sorted out. But once again, first game of preseason, hopefully that'll get taken care of, it gets sorted out. And if you and I have noticed it, then we can be sure that the analytics team at Southampton has seen it and will address it in training this week. Because of course Saints are back. They'll be at Staplewood all week ahead of a game against, I think, Preston this coming weekend, before half the squad goes to China and half the squad goes to Ireland, I think. So that'll be super exciting. We'll have to see how that all kind of breaks down. But yeah, I think for me, from the highlights that I was able to watch, I think that kind of showed where we were at. And I think, important to bring up again that all touch or whatever they are, they're going to play an actual game next weekend. So they're ready for their season. We are just getting started. So I think to watch us run with them for the game, I think is totally fine. We had chances to go ahead and we didn't, and that's okay.
Yeah, you're right. You're completely right. It's what it is. We go again. We've got a game next weekend. That might put us in a better stead. We've got a team that'll probably be at the same level of stage of pre-season as us. So it'd probably be more about getting our quality up at Preston rather than fitness.
Yeah, and yeah, I think we'll be all right. I don't know. I'm almost more interested to see who goes to China and who gets to stay. Because I feel like if you go to China, I feel like that might be Wesley Hoot's first start of the season. He'll go to China and start, because he'll be one of the senior players that goes over. And if I remember hearing this correctly from Adam Leach towards the end of the season, is they're not going to send very many people over. It's going to be mostly a couple of senior players, and then mostly some of the younger guys that'll go over, and they'll basically be there for 2 or 3 days. They'll train, they'll play, they'll come home. Like, that's it. And most of the first team will stay with in Ireland to do some training. So hopefully that is the case. And I think that'll tell the story of who goes over. I think that'll tell a little bit more of the story, because of course some of the guys that stay behind, like Lamina and Austin and Carricho, that it'll be weird to see, or interesting to see, kind of how they're treated once they're back, especially after some of the stuff that they did this week, which there's currently a tweet out that says United have cooled their interest in Mario Lamina. And it's hard to imagine them doing that after that wonderful video that he put out just last week. So we will have to see that. But I don't know. You okay with getting on to some questions right now? I think we have plenty to answer, and I think we're doing okay.
Yeah, go on then. I'm all in.
All right. So just for anybody who's listening the first time, if this is your first time listening, I'd like to apologize to you, but we'll be back next time. We'll do better. So the questions for the show, you can be sent in on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Also, patrons of the show have priority for having their questions answered. That's one of the benefits of being a patron. You can do that at patreon.com/SFC delivery. In addition to that, they get a private chat on Discord with just me and other patrons. And then some of them get a private extra episode of the podcast per month. But we will get to the Patreon questions in just a little bit. We have a number here. So LJ_Cecil writes, he says, if I could just pick your brain about a question that comes into my head, what is one player that I would be perfectly okay with selling that most other fans might have an issue with? Says, for example, I think the window to cash out on JWP is closing, but clubs might be willing to pay over the moon for him given his potential and current talent. I'll add to it that he's also English, which always adds to the value. This might also allow the club to fill more holes with the money or upgrade certain spots. Midfield is one of the areas where I think we're mostly set, even if it's just with Oriol, Romeu, and Højbjerg, plus whoever we sign. So is there, if you have any thoughts on him, on his kind of idea to cash in on JWP right now, or is there another player in the squad that you would be okay with getting rid of that maybe some other fans would go like, oh, like, we don't necessarily want to lose him because he's actually, good.
See, I've actually been thinking about this one. I saw it myself on Twitter. And I get his reasoning for picking Prowsey. I really do. And I think if you'd have said that to me last summer, I'd have been 100%. But at the minute, the way he finished the season, I don't know whether it's... You kind of want to keep your best players around. And financially, what he's saying, if we do it on Prowsey and we say we'll get 30 million for him and take 60 grand a week off the Wade field, yeah, that's an acceptable bit of business. But then we lost someone who was a key player towards the back end of last season. My obvious answer probably would be Long. Me and him don't seem to get on, for the pure fact that I don't think he scores enough being a striker. Obviously, he bagged a couple towards the end of last season, but he's a high earner, wrong side of 30. Yeah, I mean, he works hard and whatever, but there's got to be a point where that's not enough to kick on going forward. It's just got to be, I think, I'd rather a player that's got the quality to deliver 30 goals a season than just someone who runs about. Yeah. As horrible as it sounds, and Long is not a player that will guarantee you 30 goals a season. He's on a lot of money, and I think we could get probably about 6 to 8 mil, so about the same sort of valuation we'd probably get for Austin. Plus, we'd get his wages off the book. I think that would be a good bit of business.
Okay.
But one other player has cropped into my mind, and, well, I think I'd get slaughtered if I said it out loud. But I'm going to say it anyway and probably get slaughtered for all the responses on Twitter. As much as I love him, I wouldn't be too bothered if we let Yoshida go.
Okay. I was going to say it too. I'm glad you did. Yeah.
I think we all know he's a bit... I mean, he's decent, but we all know he's a bit of a liability. I mean, there was a reason he didn't actually become a first-team regular until Van Dijk was injured and Fonte was sold. He's a good squad player, don't get me wrong, but I don't... If you were to offer me Yoshida or probably a centre-back for the money that we could sell Yoshida for that have the potential to be as good as, say, Van Dijk and generate that amount of money that we did for him, I'd say, why are we not doing that? As much as loyal and as loved by the fans as he is, I think there's got to be a point where we just look at ourselves now and think, especially if we're heavy on most of our finances coming in through player trading to be reinvested back into the first team squad, then that's what we've got to do. And to kick on, we need to do everything we can. We can't be in another relegation battle for the third year running. Don't get me wrong, I don't think we will be. But necessarily, I don't think we could be in the race for Europe either. Right. It could go one or two ways. I think if we need to get back into the race for Europe, which we do, we need to invest in the quality and let probably some of the average players go so we can invest more in the potential and the quality.
I just, one thing I always think of is like, we always want to get rid of players who aren't doing well enough, like that, those are the players we want to get rid of. And the truth is that's not always possible because you have to have somebody that wants to take them, that either sees something in them that they can turn around or think this is a really good deal and we see some potential there. Sometimes you have to sell players who are doing well and who are good, and just whether they don't fit the system or you think you can replace them better, or you want to use that money to work on other areas of the squad. Like, I get all of that, but like, I think I was going to say Yoshida as well, and not because I dislike him, but because, he could probably earn the same wages if he went to China or Japan. He seems like he's very well respected when he goes back to Japan. Like, he's still, he didn't go with the team to the Copa America because the Japanese squad was focused on building for the Olympics. So they sent a very young team to the Copa America in hopes of getting them some competitive games against decent opposition that would kind of prepare them for the Olympics. So he's not involved with that, but I think that he would leave. I think most of us would be happy, for him if he moved somewhere and was guaranteed kind of first team play. And I think we would miss him in the dressing room, but I wouldn't be maybe all that upset because I think you probably get decent money for him if you sold him to Japan or to China or somewhere like that. I don't think there are very many places in England that are going to pay over the moon for him, but I don't think that takes away from the fact that he does a decent job and would get a decent return. And I'm kind of like looking through the squad here of players that I would be willing to get rid of. And none of them really fit the criteria of the question. If I say Elyounoussi, everybody kind of probably says like, well, good, go. We'll talk about Charlie Austin a little bit. We'll talk about Lamina, which I think people are leaning more towards him leaving than not. I wouldn't be okay with selling Redmond or Højbjerg or Gunn. Bednarak either. I think they all have to stay. So I don't know. I think my choice, if I have to answer that question, would be Ishida. Feel bad, but okay. All right, let's go. Let's jump to Twitter for some of these questions here. So Matt Newhausen on Twitter, he is at Matt Newhausen. Asked you and I, where do you think it all started for Lamina? He played great in his return under Ralph Hasenhüttl versus Newcastle. All the explanations seem to point to him not fitting the system. Why the sudden urgency to leave when the team's direction looks upward? And I guess this is a good time to bring up kind of the fact that he didn't, once again, he didn't make the trip with the team. Him and Charlie Austin, Carrillo, other guys were left at home. I guess with the kind of hope that they would secure moves over the week and kind of be gone and out of Ralph Hasenhüttl's hair. And I don't know how you feel about players being left at home like that. Like, is it more of a distraction for them to stay home and do whatever they were doing on social media? Does that make it harder for them to come back into the dressing room after? And I know we're not going to answer Matt's question by answering that, but like, does this make it more difficult for them to stick around than if they just took them on the tour and had them maybe be, a slight argument with Ralph here or there, but they were still training with the team? Like what, I don't know, guys, what would your preference be in terms of how they were dealt with?
I can see pros and cons for both of them, which is the thing. I think some of the players that we left at home, obviously, we all know how good Lamina is, and there's literally no question in his ability. It's more sort of his mental capacity, and his motivational side. I think, to be honest, though, why would you take players with you on tour to start your pre-season to build something for the new season when realistically they're not in your plans and they don't want to be in your plans? I think I'd rather just have the full squad of people that would want to fight for a place out with the manager working with him. But don't get me wrong, I think when it comes to a player of Lamina's quality, I think we probably could have taken him. I think it's one of those where whatever gentleman's agreement was agreed between him and the club, when he signed, or whoever he spoke to last summer who said he was looking at potentially moving on. I think when he's that good, he's maybe just worth taking with the first team squad, and because Ralph could quite easily change his mind. People say there's no going back, but we've heard all that before. Because Schneidlin kicked off his dummy when Koeman came in, and then Koeman was like, no, look, you're staying. Stop being a little bit and, work for your place. And I think that's what Ralph could do to Lamina. It's a tough one.
Well, I think if you were to just list, it go from top to bottom in terms of just technical talent and ability, Lamina's at the top of the list. If you were to list out the guys in the squad, he's definitely there. But for me, like, if your heart's not committed to the team and to playing for it, then I'd probably not want you there. And The only way this backfires is if we can't get a move for him. If we can't get a move for him with somebody with essentially Ralph putting his foot down and saying, this is where it stops, like you're not passing this line. It becomes much harder to come back from that, I think, for either party. And I'm not sure Lamina has the mentality to be able to overcome that. Cedric, the opposite of Cedric, who has come back and seems to be working really hard for the team and wanting to fight for a place, and maybe for whatever respect, we'll see if Hoot does the same thing. But it sounds like, from talks this week that they're willing to do that, and they may have a way to work themselves back into the squad. And if that's the case, like I can commend that, and I can be happy with that. But Lamina and Austin don't necessarily seem to be doing that necessarily. And it is kind of hurt to watch Lamina go and be good in games for other teams. But the truth is he hasn't been that good that many times, that often for us. He's very talented, but the consistency just isn't there. And I'd be more willing to let guys like James Ward-Prowse and Oriol Romeu and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg play in the center of midfield than I would to watch him, care sometimes and not most of the time. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. I think the thing is with Lamina, you can see why he was at Juventus, but then you can also see why they sold him in that aspect.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those where maybe he's the perfect example. Right, I've been thinking this a lot recently about the management choices we've made in the last 2-3 years. I can think we've got a very good technical squad, like that are good on the ball and off the ball and all this and that and the other. But I think if you exclude Ralph, look at the last 3 managers, do any of them look like they could motivate a team? Really? I think that's what it is. I think we've now got a manager in place who can motivate the team moving forward. And maybe it's just one of those where this is the kick up the arse that a lot of the players need. Because they all just seemed really complacent, especially under Hughes at the start of last season. It was just like, don't get me wrong, some of the football we played was okay, and we've had good practicing games, but it was the same under Pellegrino and Hughes, probably less so under Pellegrino the most, and Puel. But it just got to the point where the squad seemed so damaged mentally, and they're not getting like the motivation off the pitch. And I think now we've finally got someone who can deliver that. Maybe if Lamina stays, we might see him be a bit more consistent in the terms that we've now got a manager who's getting into the players rather than somebody who seems a bit meh, is the best way to describe it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I don't know. It's probably the toughest of the situations that we have in terms of they're delicate and they do change. And if he wasn't as technically good as he was, I think it'd be easier just to write him off a little bit. And I think I do also think most fans are just going to write him off anyway, because I don't want that around the team. I'll be really honest. Like if I had my choice, if I could just magically sell him right now, I probably would, and get him away and get the distractions away and focus on the team that we have. And hey, we had all those youngsters just a week or so ago sign contract extensions and new contracts for the club, and bring them on. Let's have them play, because they obviously still have something to prove to us and to themselves and to their families and everything else. And I'd rather see that, to be completely honest. But you got 2 guys at home who are you're really using social media, I think, to their advantage. Except for I think originally we thought Lamina did that, and it turns out I think a United account did that video for him, and then he took it and put his own branding over the top of it. And if he uses that stupid hashtag again, I don't know what I'm going to do. Probably nothing, because that's what I normally do. But
the best thing about that video is about 35 seconds in, it's actually Nathan Redmond that beats the player, not Lamina. And I don't think anyone's noticed.
Well,
you've got me.
It is. I don't know what that says about us or him or them or whatever. But good for whoever cut that up, United. But I don't think Nathan Redmond wants to go there, because that seems to be where wingers go to die. So we don't need him to sign there. ever. And so we got a couple more questions. Let's get some Patreon questions here. Rob asks, what do we think of Chase's performance yesterday? I think we touched on it a little bit, but I mean, were you overall happy with his first 45 minutes in a Southampton shirt?
Yeah, I was fairly impressed with him. It's just a little glimpse to start with, that he's kind of like, he's a lot quicker than I thought he would be. And he kind of has sort of the hold-up players sort of that we've been missing without Pella. Like everyone misses the love scratch bits. And I think we kind of have a man that can do his job, like now that he's left. And granted, he left 3 seasons ago, 2, 3, he left 3 years ago now. And we've got a player who's got the technical hold-up ability. And now his pace surprised me. Like, I knew he was quick, but I didn't think he was as quick as what he looked. And granted, it's only firstly pre-season, so obviously he's going to get fitter quicker after. So I think we've got a real player there, and he could quite easily score us 15, 20 goals if the chances come his way.
Yeah, I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be great. I think he showed some of the things that we saw from him last season. The movement, the strength, the finishing. I think he was there. I think, kind of think he could have taken that shot just a little bit quicker when he had the ball cleared off the line. The defender allowed the defender to get back, but the fact that he created kind of some of those opportunities out of almost nothing, a couple of long balls over the top that he was able to run onto and kind of create chances from. I think that's great. I think he'll be just kind of fine. Rob also asks where we stand on the Austin and Lamina shenanigans, and we've talked about Lamina, but Austin put out a little a GIF earlier on Twitter, and I don't know. I'm not sure what to make of it. How did you read that tweet from Austin?
Austin's just a dick, isn't he? Like, that's the best way to put it. He's just a twat. I think he's just, and then he was sharing stuff from Liverpool, like, granted, yeah, it's like a foundation support. Like, even the whole Firmino thing, I'm just like, for God's sake, man. You're a professional footballer. There's a reason you've not been taken out on tour. To be honest, right, quite a few of the fans adored him, and now he's just got himself in the foot. It's like, grow up. You're the wrong side of 30. You've got 1 year left on your deal at a club that don't want you. The fans have turned on you for this, that, and the other. Why are you just trying to piss them off even more? It's like all you're doing is just opening yourself up to get more and more consistent stick.
But he did it with the laughing. But he did it with the laughing, crying emoji. Does it make it better?
Of course not.
It's so weird because I remember asking somebody, I think it was Aydin Small, maybe, if you could take anybody on the team to Glastonbury with you, like, who would you take? And we both take Charlie Austin. He'd be a lot of fun there. You're throwing back beverages, you're having a good time. He seems like he'd be great, but at the same time, like, either he doesn't understand kind of like the message that he's giving off or kind of how this makes him look publicly, or he just doesn't care. And, I know his wife has had issues with fans and stuff like that. And that's never good to see. But sometimes I just don't think that, even if he really just thought the GIF was funny, like, maybe you send it to your wife and go like, this is funny. I probably shouldn't tweet this because this is not going to go well, given that I am, potentially frozen out of the squad and everything else, and whatever it is, whatever message he was trying to send or not send. I don't think it's done a very good job, and I don't think people are very happy. The fact that it's got 43 comments on it alone says, like, at time of recording, that this has not gone well for him.
I don't think anything he's tweeted in the last 12 months has gone well for him, to be honest, or his wife.
Probably true.
I think it's all of he's put himself in this situation now. I think his own actions. Because say probably go back to the start of last season, I don't think anyone really had an issue with him. Like, every time he'd step on the pitch, the fans would sing his name, and, you know, people would be like, oh, why are we not playing Austin? You know, he proves he scores goals. But now you just look, he scored, 2, 3 goals last season? It's just, it's like, well.
I think maybe the lesson here is like, I think maybe the lesson here is be humble and work hard, and the fans will come to appreciate you. You will earn their appreciation. You know, I think we have 2 examples here of guys not doing that, and you see kind of the situation, but and it doesn't make it easy for anybody. You know, I
don't think Lamine has been as bad as Austin has been. No,
but he's just all over Instagram singing in a language that I don't understand, and I think that rubs people the wrong way. Really, sometimes when he sings, I wish he would stop because he's sometimes not very good, but that's okay.
I don't know. I think Lamina doesn't really understand the British culture that much, I don't think. Or maybe he's sort of like the Americanized version of it. But Charlie Austin's English. He's no better than this. He knows what's going to piss people off and what isn't. And it's like, get it together. Like, granted, people would have probably still been calling for his head anyway. His social media exploits weren't great because he was shocking throughout the back end, throughout all of last season, really.
Yeah.
But I think fans would not be jumping on him like they've been attacking Hoot or Stevens recently. Whereas now I think he's just sort of made his own bed and he kind of has to lie in it.
Yeah. If he was winding up opposition defenses as much as he's winding us up, I think everybody would be okay with that. You know, but it seems like a one-way street right now, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but I think once again, like this week, everybody will be training here. They should be back with the team. We'll see what happens when it comes to game day, and then where they go next week. I think that's going to say a lot, because if they get shipped off to China with a bunch of youngsters, you know, that's one more kind of nail in the coffin for these guys. I think if that's the way it goes, but I could be wrong. Maybe a lot of the first team players will go over to China, but I don't. Based on what happened last season when they went there, and some of the things that were said that have come out in the press afterwards about the conditions over there and things like that, I can't imagine a lot of the first team guys are going to go over there and really expect to come back better prepared. I don't think that's what that trip is about. I think that's a PR trip, if there ever was one. But we have one. I think we have time for one more question. Justin Woodward says, "Do you think Cedric and Hoot are in the plans? Is he giving them a second chance? Do you think Austin will go or stay? And is Vokins good enough to be a backup for Bertrand?" So, I don't know. Do you think of Cedric and Hoot, do you think either of them has a chance to work themselves back into the squad? I think I've kind of made my stance on that clear. But which of them, if either of them, do you think could potentially come back in?
I think Cedric, really, as we spoke. I think he's good enough to come in and, you know, probably battle for that first team right position. Hoot's a weird one, because we all know how much the calamity can be. But I still have a feeling there's potential there. Like, granted, probably not with us. I don't think he has the potential for us to, you know, go and play him week in, week out. But I think if he was probably to go back to Italy or a division where it's not as intense as it is here, and, you know, like, as in the intense pressure on the back line and all that, there's a player in there to go out to like a club in Italy and perform quite well for himself. Yeah,
I think if you give him time on the ball to play passes, I think he'll be great.
I think that's the thing about it. Like, you can tell there's a player in there, in a sense, like, on that aspect. I just don't think his reaction times are quick enough for us, especially in this division, which is hence why he's made numerous, ridiculously hair-pulling errors that we all absolutely crucify him for.
Yeah. That reminds me of how everybody feels when I play center back on Sundays or Saturdays.
I think that's how everyone feels about Jack Stevens as well.
Jesus. The meltdown midweek when everybody thought he was going to play as a holding midfielder was great. I enjoyed that. Let's give everybody some time. We'll be okay. I don't know. I'm trying to make sure there's no other questions we can ask there. Oh, we have a couple of ones we haven't finished there. I guess we should do that. By the end of the transfer,
some bacon, actually. Yeah.
Do you think Austin's here or gone by the end of the transfer window?
I think if he's here, he'll be gone in January. You know, even if he goes out on loan for the rest of the season and then someone snaps him up on free, I just don't care anymore. Just get rid of him.
I mean, there was even talk that he turned down a trip or a move to West Brom, right? Like that there was some interest, and because I think Jay Rodriguez has gone from West Brom now, and Austin turned down a move there. Where I don't know, like I have a really hard time seeing him fighting his way back into the squad.
I can't see him making it back into the first team. I think if a Premier League club came in for him and offered probably similar money to what he's on now, he'd probably go. But the realistic is what Premier League club's going to come in for him. Like, he's been linked with Sheffield United, but it's all rumours.
I think anybody in London. I don't think if it matters if it's Championship or Premier League. I think anybody in London offers him a spot and he's gone. I think that
I hope so.
What's that?
I hope so, especially after his wife speak the other day.
Right.
About miss living in London. It was like, you may as well have just put after that, any club in London that's interested in my husband, please make a bid for London. I think it's like, yeah.
It would have been great had she tagged Queen's Park Rangers.
I'm just sick of seeing their fans telling him to come home. It's like, well, just take him then. We don't want him.
Get the collection buckets out front. Get the collection buckets out front. Get a bake sale going. You know, get him there.
Yeah, just do whatever you can to have him back. I don't care anymore. Just take him. I will drive him there myself. I will drive down to his house. I'll pick him up. And I will drive him into London. I'll pay whatever congestion charge it will cost me to get to wherever QPR's training basis is. Just get the deal down.
Yeah. Well. Okay. So, would you buy a season ticket to QPR if it meant they would take Charlie Austin?
Well, I would, and I wouldn't go to any of the games. So I'd buy this. If they took Charlie Austin, right, and all I had to pay was like £300 for a season ticket, like, just do it. Just take my money. It's fine.
How many Saints fans do you think would be willing to take that deal?
I think they'd have a sellout stadium out, to be honest.
Be great. Oh man. Well, I mean, let's be really honest. Like, do we, questions aside, certain aspects of the team aside, like, I think we should feel okay right now, right? Like, I think Che Adams looked good. I think after Janebo comes back from AFCON relatively soon, I would assume he's going to have some sort of a short break and then he'll be back. I think that's going to be good. I think Boufal still has a chance to come in and maybe make an appearance at least. We'll see. I think overall I feel okay about the team right now. I think there's still work to be done, but I'm happy with kind of what I saw from the highlights and the. With the team playing in Austria, I think Ralph looks like he's in good spirits. I think the new goalkeeping coach is there. I think overall we should feel okay. It's in the next couple of weeks will tell us a lot because we still have a lot of things to do and a lot of matches to play and things like that. But I think at the to just sum it up, I think we're okay right now, and we'll continue to move forward and hopefully see some progression. And I don't know, like. It's easier to talk about the team when guys are doing dumb stuff like this with Lamina and Austin online because it gives us something to talk about. But I would prefer it didn't happen. But overall, I think that most of the team is doing well. Hopefully, Stuart Armstrong has recovered from whatever illness he is suffering from.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this is the time now to be optimistic about what Ralph can do. It's gonna take time, but we've still got 4 or 5 weeks till the season starts. It's going to be a lot in 10 weeks. These players aren't going to days off now, really. They're only going to have 1 to 2 days off. Well, 1 day off at most. Probably Monday to Friday they're going to have in training or on camps or whatever. They'll have then all the pre-season friendlies that will be coming up, and then, probably the days off that they're going to have, they're going to be travelling to, say, Ireland or the PR trip in China, and then coming back. And then they're literally probably going to have 1 rest day before they get back into training, and this is the time where they've got to do that. And I'd be optimistic. I wouldn't be too disheartened about anything that we've seen so far. I think we've probably still got a full transfer window left to go through. We could potentially clear out some of the deadwood and bring out some more potential first-team players that we all know we need to, add in certain positions. And I think we will. I think don't be too upset by the fact that we've not got all of our business done early, despite the fact we've brought in Musa and Kay now. I think there's probably still a bit of business to be done both ways, coming in and out. I think these things take time. If the players that we're going to bring in are good enough, they'll adapt quickly. And if they're the players that Ralph wants to fit into his system, they will adapt quickly. I wouldn't be too concerned about anything at this period of time. I think if we'd gone into the Burnley game and we looked at it and we're like, oh shit, we still need a centre back and, a winger and all of this, it'd be meltdown central. But we're at a point now where we've still got the time on our side. Although the rumour mill is a bit quiet, I wouldn't say that's necessarily a bad thing. I think I'd rather we stay and do our business quite shrewdly, go under the radar, and just get it done. It is what it is. We've got to. We can't take negatives from week 1 already. We can say, oh well, Stephen's lost in who Ellie and Usi is all still here. Like, we've still got time to work deals for the players that aren't going to be here, and I think we've got to give it time to happen, because at this day and age, a transfer can go through in probably about a day.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't, especially with agents, you think about it, your client as an agent tells you that he probably is looking for a move. Your agent's probably thinking, right, I get a cut of whatever you get sold for. So I'm going to generate as much interest in you as I can and make everyone available, everyone aware that you're available. And then suddenly, next thing you know, the player's getting calls off his agent saying so-and-so's interested, blah, blah, blah. These guys are looking to put a bid in. It's just like that. Football works quickly, and that's why we have a deadline day, and that's why deals get done quickly. It happens. Just relax. We've got this. We've got time. We've got the right manager in place. We've got a young squad. It's good. We can be optimistic. It's fine. It's okay. We can actually enjoy football this season, I hope.
Oh, I think we will. I think it's going to be great. And I'm happy that now we're getting to see more and more of the club and the team, and before we know it, we'll be playing Premier League games, and people like you will be following them up and down the country and getting to support them through the good and the bad times. Hopefully more good than bad, but we'll deal with whatever comes. So yeah, but Aydin, I just want to say thank you again. I realize, we have backed off our recording now. We are, I think, 8 or 9 hours behind where we should have been. I've had a weird couple of days, but I apologize for that. And, whatever, we'll do it again. And, I think that does it for today. But thank you, Aydin. If people want to follow you on Twitter, they can do that at Aydin_96. You're also on Instagram. The links will be in the show notes. But we will talk to you soon.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be on, mate. You know where I am if you ever want me back.
Absolutely. All right, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
And that does it for episode 131 of the Southampton Delivery Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed it. Special thanks this week goes out to Aydin Osman. You can find him on Twitter at Aydin_Osman96. Aydin, thank you for agreeing to come on the show in the first place. Thank you also for putting up with the 4 or 5 or 7.5 hour delay on recording. I apologize for that. My dad is doing well. He's back home, and hopefully we will move forward from here. So thanks for that. I appreciate it. Shout out goes to everybody who sent in questions on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram this week. I really do appreciate it. We definitely didn't get to all the questions, but the good thing about that is when we have a variety, we have choice, I think the show comes off a little bit better. So keep sending them in. You can do that at SFCDELL_IVERY on Twitter and Instagram, or at Facebook.com/SFC Delivery. You can also head over to SouthamptonDelivery.com and get past episodes of the show. Sign up for the newsletter, which is pretty great. And you can also there click the links to follow us on social media. My wife also gave me a hard time this week. She said, "Why do you say us and we? Don't people know that it's just you?" And I said, yes. So I should tell you that it's just me. The show, I host it, I mix it, I produce it, I do all the social media stuff. I have a little bit of help in terms of Matt Beeling, the guy who does the logo for the show. He did that. I have guests on the show like Aydin. I have a range of wonderful people who contribute to the newsletter. But other than that, everything else you see is me. So there it is. I've said it, not to brag, just don't want to lie because I feel like lying is bad. I went to a Christian school. Anyway, if you have not subscribed to the show already, but you are enjoying it, please do that. Subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Acast, Google Play, TuneIn Radio, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you've already done that and you want to help out, share the show with a friend, leave a review. All of those things really help, and I really appreciate it. If you're interested in maybe getting a little bit extra, you can sign up to become a patron of the show at patreon.com/SFC Delivery. You get access to a private chat, priority for having your questions answered, and you could even get an extra episode of the podcast per month. All music comes courtesy of the Free Music Archive at freemusicarchive.org. The intro song is Epic Song by Boxcat Games, and the intro credits that you're listening to right now is Aim is True by Poddington Bear. And one more announcement before we go. Congratulations to the Southampton page, which is the official partner page of this show, for partnering with 90 Minute Football for the coming season. Expect and look for big things coming from them and some changes happening on those pages. So if you don't follow them already, they are the Southampton page on Instagram and Twitter. And congratulations to them for securing that partnership. But for now, I think that does it. I hope I haven't forgotten anything. And if I did, you know what? We'll cover it next week. So until then, remember that together, we march on.